As you can see right now that there is a shrine growing here outside of the swim school as students and staff are learning about that 3-year-old's death. The swim school itself is closed today, as are the associated dance school, tumbling school, and the preschool the boy attended. His class came over here yesterday for a swim in the preschool pool, and the boy somehow ended up underwater in the bigger pool. The calm waters of Swim America turned turbulent Thursday as staff members tried to save a 3-year-old boy found underwater. Nobody seems to know how long he was in there after leaving his group of about a dozen preschoolers enjoying the waters of the 2-foot-deep kiddie pool.
That's where we were trying to keep everybody, and obviously we, had a problem and somehow missed this young man, and we're going to take a careful look at it.
Swim America co-owner Rick Klatt also owns Tumble America, Dance America, and the boys' preschool at Camp America. He canceled classes at all of them until Monday out of respect for the boys' family and to give his own staff time to heal. But he himself is still on site, racking his brain to figure out what happened and how to keep it from happening again.
We will review everything internally from A to Z, and hopefully we can find exactly what went wrong here, because we don't know precisely what went wrong.
He does know the boy ended up underwater in a far corner of the bigger pool near a water slide, but he knows that's not enough. And he says his entire team is heartbroken for the boy's family.
Our prayers and hopes and dreams just go to the family. I can't begin to tell you how awful we all feel, and our instructors and our staff, and certainly my wife, who has built this business to be a safe place and a wondrous place for young kids.
Swim America has a camera focused on parts of the pools, but they discovered yesterday it wasn't recording video. Clovis police say it could be until next week before they get anywhere close to figuring out what went wrong. Live in Clovis, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30 Action News. Christine, more than 100 young people attended that party last September, but Rios was there for less than half an hour before police helicopters scared everyone into breaking it up. Rios never got past the front yard. At the foot of the Fresno County Courthouse, or in the hallways, comes the demand: justice for Desmond. 19-year-old Desmond Rios was part of a huge group trying to leave this house when a fight broke out. His girlfriend says Desmond wasn't initially involved as an argument escalated and punches started landing. But as the fight grew, she lost him.
I couldn't see anybody. There were so many people. I couldn't even see Philip. I didn't see any of them anymore.
What were you trying to do?
Trying to find Desmond.
We're not identifying the witnesses, but the girlfriend says she ran around the property looking for Desmond. When she finally got just a glimpse of him, he was under attack.
The only reason I noticed that it was Desmond is because he had just got some new shoes. And I saw his shoes sticking out from where the guys were all on top of him.
Friends drove Desmond to the hospital, but it was already too late. They had no idea who stabbed him, but as they tried to save their friend, the host of the party was getting the guilt off his chest.
I heard him mumbling say, I stuck him where I got him.
A few hours later, sheriff's detectives arrested Anthony Lopez, and after originally denying he was even there when the fight broke out, he confessed to them as well.
He said that he had the knife, and he used that knife to stab the victim on the victim's side.
Desmond's family got one step closer to justice today when a judge decided there is enough evidence for Lopez to stand trial for murder. From the newsroom, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30 Action News. It all started with this truck. Fabian Manzanares stole it and concocted a plan to sell off the parts. He enlisted help from his sister Maria and her boyfriend Adriana Aceves, who brought in a possible buyer in a guy they only knew by the name Shy Boy. Manzanares was hoping for a $200 payday for the truck's rims. Aceves would get $100. But it all fell apart when farmer George Salwasser interrupted them in the act on his property. By that time, only Aceves was with Shy Boy, whose real name is Jose Cañas. And Tuesday, Aceves couldn't control his emotions as he remembered the showdown that changed his life forever and ended Salwasser's.
Where was Jose Canez when this person showed up?
¿Dónde estaba José Cáñez cuando se presentó o se apareció la persona?
Estaba quitando los rines,
He was taking
poniendo las tuercas para atrás.
He was taking off the rims.
We're not allowed to show the witnesses' faces. Aceves says he ran away from the confrontation as soon as he thought Salwasser's focus was on Cañas. As he ran, he heard 2 shots and took a second to turn around and see what he was leaving behind.
Miré a José Cañas parado
I saw José Cáñez standing,
y el muchacho, el señor, tiró en el suelo.
and the man was on the ground.
Aceves was frantic when he called Fabian Manzanares to come back and get him, and he was panicked when he tried to tell Fabian and Maria what was happening.
He yells to go, and he shot him.
Cañas is scheduled to face a murder trial in November. Aceves and Maria Manzanares both agreed to plea deals to avoid murder charges. Fabian Manzanares did not. Even though he wasn't there when the shooting happened, prosecutors say he initiated the criminal act, and Salwasser's death was a natural and probable consequence. The defense says Manzanares had no way to know it would end in gunfire. Corin Hoggard, ABC 30, Action News. Next on Action News, a Texas sheriff's deputy killed execution style while pumping gas. The manhunt around Houston has led to new developments this morning. Plus an arrest in a deadly bombing at a shrine in Thailand. The evidence police found in the suspect's hideout. And Fresno unified under federal investigation. We went straight to the superintendent to ask about it. Action News AM Live Saturday starts now.
Number 1 in Central California. This is ABC 30 Action News, AM Live.
Good morning, Central Valley. You're looking live at the North Valley from our ABC 30 Merced Skycam. A beautiful blue sky and some wispy clouds there. The Sierra in the background. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and it's going to be a cool one. I'm Corin Hoggard. We'll get right over to Ruben Contreras now to check that AccuWeather forecast. Cooling. I love it.
Yeah, and Fresno feeling a bit of a breeze this morning. A good portion of the valley, as a matter of fact, and temperatures not too bad to start off your Saturday here. Right now, Fresno is at 75 degrees, 75 for Visalia and 73 for Merced. It's a little bit mild, but our afternoon temperature is much cooler compared to the past few days. We're leaving the triple digits behind for now. Bit of a breeze in a good portion of the valley this morning. We have winds at 15 miles an hour in Hanford, 10 here in Fresno, and 12 in Merced. And that's going to be the case for most of today. The west side of the valley, though, you might have some gusts up to about 30, 35 miles an hour. So that could create some areas of blowing dust. And when that happens after a dry period of time, we could have some visibility issues, especially along our local highways such as Interstate 5 this afternoon. Overall, partly sunny skies. Most valley spots today in the low 90s. Fresno at 94, just below the average of 95 for this time of year. And it's going to be breezy for a good portion of the day, maybe even a little bit windy later on this afternoon into this evening. It looks like we'll have a cooling trend that will stick around for a while. We'll have more details on that with the extended forecast coming up.
Breaking news out of Texas this morning, where police have a person of interest in custody in the execution-style shooting of a sheriff's deputy. Surveillance cameras caught images of a man killing 47-year-old Darren Goforth as the deputy pumped gas northwest of Houston. Investigators say the suspect shot the deputy from behind, then shot again after he fell to the ground. After tracking nearly every red Ford Ranger in the area for hours, investigators detained a man at a home not very far away. He's now being questioned by homicide detectives. Breaking news in Thailand this morning as well, where police have arrested a suspect they believe is responsible for a deadly bombing. 20 people died and many more were wounded at a shrine in Bangkok this month. Thai police say the suspect is a Turkish national. He was arrested at an apartment in a suburb of Bangkok, where they also found ball bearings matching the type of bomb used at that scene. Happening now, firefighters are hoping cooler weather this weekend will help them tame the rough fire near Hume Lake. The wildfire has burned more than 61,000 acres, and it's still spreading at a fast rate. The fire was sparked a month ago by lightning. And rescue personnel continue to search this morning for a hiker believed to be missing about 10 miles from the rough fire. 62-year-old Miyuki Harwood is from the Sacramento area. She was last seen in the Horsehead Lake area of the Sierra National Forest 9 days ago. Developing news out of Fresno this morning, where Action News has learned Fresno Unified is under a federal investigation related to the construction of the district's newest middle school. The district built Rutherford B. Gaston Middle School under what's called a leaseback deal. A leaseback is when cash-strapped school districts can avoid the competitive bid process and award a project to a construction company who in turn fronts the money, and the district can slowly pay back what they owe. In the case of Gaston Middle School, Harris Construction got the $37 million project, but in June an appeals court said the deal was illegal. A source told Action News the U.S. Attorney's Office has subpoenaed district officials over the leaseback deal. Action News caught up with Superintendent Michael Hansen at the Edison Buchanan High School football game last night.
I've got a lot of things I'd love to be able to say about it, but we won't be able to say more until next week after our council has done more review of the situation.
Can you at least confirm that you've been subpoenaed?
What I can tell you is that our council, we have to do more work with our council before we're going to talk about any of it.
Our source tells us the U.S. Attorney's Office has asked for all paperwork related to the leaseback. In the South Valley, Porterville police have arrested this man after they say he threatened several places of worship. Investigators say 63-year-old Ross Giles targeted Catholic priests and nuns at St. Anne's Catholic Church and Holy Cross Catholic Church. Giles was booked into jail facing charges of making threats and committing a hate crime. The Diocese of Fresno issued a statement that said, in part, all clergy and religious women of the Diocese of Fresno have been notified of the threat with a request for prayer for a peaceful resolution for the common good. Kings County Sheriff's deputies have identified a suspect in a school burglary, and they're now looking for Ricardo Garcia. They believe he was last living in Fresno. The Sheriff's Office says Garcia is the man you see there in this surveillance video, stealing electronics from Island Union Elementary School. 50 Chromebooks were taken from classrooms, along with iPads and money for a class trip. A baby who survived a fiery wreck near Easton has been identified. Her family says she is 6-month-old Ariana Hancock. Both her parents died when their SUV hit a power pole near Cornelia and Sumner, just west of Easton, yesterday morning. Ariana was ejected from her car seat. An area resident who heard the crash then pulled Ariana to safety just moments before the vehicle caught fire. The baby suffered some third-degree burns. Doctors say she'll be at the hospital at least until Monday. The Fresno County Coroner's Office is now confirming the skeletal remains found near Pine Flat Lake this week belonged to 81-year-old Zillabelle Jane Friesen, who disappeared a month earlier. A fire crew assigned to the rough fire discovered her Ford Escape on a rugged road in the foothills last Sunday. Her body was found about a half-mile away. Today marks the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina making landfall on the Gulf Coast. In Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida, more than 1,800 people died and hundreds more are still missing to this day. The total economic impact is estimated to be more than $150 billion. For Action News meteorologist Shelby Latino and her family, the storm quite literally hit home. The story you'll only see on Action News.
Look at this, the mailbox is underwater. Look how fast this water's rising.
You're listening to my aunt as Hurricane Katrina's 26-foot storm surge quickly takes over her neighborhood. In less than 24 hours, the track of the storm shifted dramatically toward New Orleans. The storm nearly doubled in size, and as roadways filled with evacuees, Katrina strengthened to a Category 5.
It was very scary knowing how much of our family stayed behind, and then watching the track shift towards a dead-on hit for New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. The anticipation, it was very nerve-wracking.
The last call we got before the power went out was from my Uncle Mike.
When he called us, he was asking where the life jackets were. We told him that they were downstairs in my papa's office. Well, he said, it's too late, the water's already too high, and the phone went out.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Pick everything up that you can. We're on the second story. That's how high the water's gotten. There's a boat floating down the street.
Then a chilling foreshadowing from my cousin Hunter.
Oh man, I do not want to see what New Orleans looks like right now.
In the coming hours, levee failures would flood about 80% of the city, and as the water receded, massive amounts of debris were left behind. In the months following Hurricane Katrina, we began to pick up the pieces. The damage to the communities we loved and the homes we grew up in was unimaginable.
It's really hard to grasp everything that we lost even 10 years later.
But what came out of the rubble was nothing short of inspiring. Broken communities, known for their southern hospitality and charm, felt the love of the entire country as volunteers and donations poured in to help. A decade of recovery, rebuilding, and resilience have brought about a new normal for the Gulf Coast. The homes are higher and more storm resistant, but there's more work to be done. Poverty rates are back to pre-Katrina levels in New Orleans, and many are still facing financial struggles from debt they incurred just trying to come home after the storm. 10 years later, the lessons of the past are laying the foundation for better preparation and more compassion in the future. Shelby Latino, ABC 30 Action News.
We'll have more on how people in Louisiana are remembering and recovering in a live report from New Orleans in our next half hour. Coming up, Hanford police are not playing around after thieves stole a charity's playground. Plus, a helping hand for the health of a Valley ag community. Water service at California's San Quentin State Prison has been shut off after an inmate was diagnosed with Legionnaire's disease. Corrections officials say the case was first identified Thursday. The sick inmate was transferred to an outside hospital for treatment. His condition is not known. Authorities say dozens of other inmates have also shown symptoms of the severe form of pneumonia. Since Legionnaire's is spread through plumbing and ventilation, San Quentin shut off water within its housing units until the source of the disease is found. Prisoners are instead drinking bottled water and they're using portable toilets. A mariachi band helped celebrate the official opening of a new health center in Fresno County. The school-based clinic is located on campus at Raisin City Elementary School. It includes 4 brand new exam rooms and a state-of-the-art behavioral health office. Residents have had access to the services since May, but there was a formal ribbon cutting yesterday. Families and students say having a medical center right there in their community helps cut down on drive times. In the South Valley, a nonprofit serving special needs kids is overwhelmed at the community's response after they were hit by thieves. Hanford police officers used a little bit of elbow grease to assemble play sets at UCP yesterday, 2 weeks after theirs was stolen. The Officers Association and the community got together to raise money to buy new play structures.
It is absolutely amazing. It is such a nice experience to be able to, help out and not just chase bad guys and, truly give back to the community. So.
The group raised enough money to pay for a new fence and new security measures to make sure that equipment is safe. There are perks to being the firstborn, but there's also a health risk. Researchers out of New Zealand found people who are the oldest of their siblings tend to be overweight. The study found the average older brother or sister weighed just over 200 pounds, while younger family members average about 185. That's for men. Scientists believe something happens in the womb that makes firstborns more vulnerable to metabolism problems. My little brother's about 15 pounds heavier than me, so I missed out on that one. Still ahead, studying the drought from farm to families. Fresno State puts a cost on the valley's water shortage, and it starts with a big B. In New Orleans and along the Gulf Coast, today is a day for both remembrance and celebration. 10 years ago today, Hurricane Katrina made landfall. The costliest storm in U.S. history caused $135 billion in damage, killed nearly 2,000 people. ABC's Bazi Kanani joins us live from New Orleans with more on how the historic city has changed in the decades since Katrina threatened to destroy it. Bazi?
Good morning, Corin. Hurricane Katrina took hundreds of lives and forever changed many more. But this morning, the people here are celebrating what the storm couldn't destroy, their resilient spirit. It just wouldn't be New Orleans without a party. And this morning, there is good reason here to celebrate. Hundreds more restaurants, a burgeoning tech industry, a $1 billion medical center, and higher graduation rates.
It's a spirit much stronger than any storm.
Former President George W. Bush praised New Orleans school reform on his visit to the city Friday. President Obama's visit Thursday also highlighted the city's remarkable recovery. These apocalyptic scenes just 10 years ago. Parts of the city under 20 feet of water after the levees failed. Hurricane Katrina left thousands stranded and desperate.
The early recovery was not good. I think there was too much fighting going on. Right. You know, the way the federal government was organized.
In the storm's wake, half of the city's residents left. Today, more than 80% of its population is back. Their city now fortified by a new $14 billion levee system.
We're confident that this system is fully capable of reducing the risk of a 100-year storm event.
There are still too many abandoned homes in predominantly African-American neighborhoods, and poverty in the city remains high. But 10 years after Katrina, New Orleanians vow to continue their progress into the next decade.
Why would anybody ever want to live anywhere else? When you know you're here, you know you're someplace special. We just love it.
Former President Bill Clinton will be here today to help commemorate the anniversary. There will be wreath-laying ceremonies in remembrance of those lost, and then, in true New Orleans fashion, a parade and a party tonight. In New Orleans, Bazi Kanani, Action News AM Live.
Bazi, we know there was flooding at Jackson Square where you are, and New Orleans in general took a huge hit, but so did a lot of other communities. So what's the recovery been like outside of the Big Easy?
Welcome.
Hobbs Grove in Sanger is looking for a few good actors. They're inviting ghouls, goblins, and other ghostly types to attend their upcoming job fair tomorrow. Those hired will show off their scary talents at the Grove's haunted forest, house, or hayride Thursdays through Sundays during the month of October. Those selected will also attend Ghoul School in late September. Prospective ghouls should arrive between 9 and 10 a.m. to fill out applications and begin interviews. You have to be 18 years or older by October 2nd to apply.